Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. I'm your host, Chet, and this week we have sculptor, painter, digital artist John Chen. John's been a fixture in the Dark Art Society community for a few years now, and his work is really great, really cool, weird digital sculpture and traditional sculpture and now painting. Had a great conversation with him. Been wanting to have him on the podcast for a while now, and I was happy that he finally accepted my invitation. So that's coming up. Now, what have I been doing? I have been I've been doing random I had a big sale this weekend for Easter, and I was creating some paintings to sell and just trying to hustle money together for bills, and that went pretty well. I am almost totally done with my commissions. I think I have like 2 left, so that's a relief. Almost ready to start my solo show. It's got to start this month, so that will be happening starting this month. I'm going to start figuring out my solo show. That gives me 6 months. Not as much time as I was hoping for, but it's a lot better than 3 months, which is what I usually give myself. Other than that, if you haven't seen, there was a special edition episode on Easter about a crazy thing that happened to me on Easter in 1980. So check that out on the channel. Also, like and subscribe. I always forget to mention that. We're trying to get the word out about the podcast. I've got an artist named Scum Choir, friend of mine, who is helping cut clips together. You can check him out at Scum Choir, just how it sounds, SCUMCHOIR. Check him out on Instagram and stuff. His work's really cool. But he's cutting short clips and reels and stuff for Instagram, short clips of the podcast. So we're trying to get the word out there and grow the podcast, and I think this may be the one and final ingredient we need. So if you could help by sharing those shorts around, especially the YouTube shorts and clips, that would be great. And liking and subscribing. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to support the podcast, go to patreon.com/darkartsociety. Join for as little as $1 and get your name on the air, which I will read right now. It's been a while since I read these, like 2 weeks or so I'm not sure if I read some of these before, but I'm going to maybe read an earlier subscriber, which would be Ed Binkley, who's been on the podcast. Thanks, Ed. I think I read your name before, and then Jim Burton, which I think I read your name before too, but you get a second reading. Michael Rafflaub. Thank you, Michael. Renee McGowan, and thank you, Renee. And Leo Gonzalez. Thank you, Leo. Really appreciate your support. Couldn't do it without you. What else? Yeah. Oh, and we're also, if you join at the $5 level, you get a coupon code for a discount to get a skull from Skull Shop. SKULLSHOPPE. They make incredible skulls. And I know Kyle, the owner, and he is truly passionate about these skulls. He really is. He's so into skulls. He's like the perfect guy to have this business. That's why his skulls are always so amazing. You don't have there's never any crappy skulls that get sent out. All his stuff is really incredible. So support him if you want to support the podcast as well. And also you can get a discount if you join at the $5 and above level. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Let's get on with it. I know even good friends of mine fast forward through this intro part, so you probably haven't even listened to it. You probably just skipped right over to the main interview, and I don't blame you for that. Okay, here we go. My interview with John Chen. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I'm
So
recording.
hello everyone.
Hello, I'm recording now. You just heard that.
Such a cool track.
Thank you. So how's it going,
Have you
John?
done the hey, I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing, Chet?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to finally get you on the podcast. You know, I've been bugging you for a while to come on the podcast,
I
and
know.
like I mentioned before we started recording, once Guillermo del Toro retweets your work, yeah, it's time to get on the podcast, man.
Oh yeah.
That must have been pretty
Well,
cool.
yeah, hopefully he listens to this. I'll make sure I retweet it
Yeah, I wonder if he does
on
listen to it.
Twitter.
I wonder if he
I
does.
know.
Was that exciting for you or what?
Oh yeah. Mind blowing. And especially as well that that one time I sent him actually like he DM'd me.
Really?
He DM'd me and about this piece, which I can show a bit later on. It's Speak Your Mind, and it's the painting of the dude with the big round head and the mouth
Oh yeah, yeah,
um,
I know that
on
one.
and the skull on the bottom.
Hmm.
So he really liked that piece, and I was offering that as a little sculpture kit. And you know how he used to do the weekly painting model kits and stuff on Twitter,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
shares the clips. Yeah, so he's like, "Oh, can I get one?" And I want to paint it. I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Did
It
he
was
ended it?
awesome.
Did he end up doing it?
Yeah, he did. He did a great job. And I
Oh,
also sent
cool.
him the Beck tribute
Uh,
trumpeter
oh,
sculpt that
cool,
I did.
cool, cool.
Yeah, so that's not for sale. Like him and I are the only person that have a copy of that, so which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, that'd be good for like using those pictures and and screen grabs from the post to promote it if you're selling the
Yeah, I
resin
didn't
kits. You
send that
know
to you in that package, but I will if you want.
what's
Because
that?
he did retweet it. I didn't send the tweet in that package that I sent you with my works and stuff, but
Oh,
I can
okay.
find it, screenshot it, and send it to you if you want.
Well, I just meant for when you're selling the resins, if you sell them from your website,
Oh,
you
okay,
know what I mean?
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's like
yeah.
that's like a an
Yeah.
endorsement.
Oh, definitely.
It's like
And I
getting a
also sent him the original oil painting too of that.
oh wow.
So I've got a piece of art in the Blake collection, which is
Yeah,
pretty high.
that's like
Buzzing.
the ultimate art collection there, for
Yeah,
people
oh, I
like us.
know. Oh.
So you're the
Have you ever been?
what's that? Have,
Have you ever been
oh
into the
yeah,
Blake
yeah.
house?
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
No way.
Yeah, cuz I when I was working on Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, is that what it's called?
Yep,
Is that the one? Don't
yep. That's it. With
he
the
produced it?
creature, the gray creature. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like the design, creature design was great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so that was we did those designs at his house. Like he has a little section of that of Bleak House that's a little design studio with computers and stuff. So I was working there every day for a
Really?
couple weeks. Yeah. So it was just
So it's
like
not like an actual, like just like a museum. Like he actually has
I
people over and
I don't know
work.
I don't know if he does anymore, but back then he did, you know.
Wow, man, that must have been
Yeah,
great.
you go to get up to take a pee to go to the bathroom and there's like a Mobius in the
Oh my
bathroom and
God.
Giegers all around. It's
He's got a few Beksinskis as well
yeah,
there.
he's got
Oh,
Beksinski's, he's got
yeah,
everybody. It's crazy. It's crazy,
that's awesome.
crazy. Yeah. Um so I am really well, people I'm sure people listening know you from the Dark Art Society. You're like been a
Yeah,
member there forever, as well as your work online. And you've done really cool things for the community too, like you're posting some ZBrush tutorials for us in there, in the Dark Art Society group way back when. And
yeah.
uh, so I'm curious but I want to know, I want to hear your story. You have such a weird accent too. I love your accent. It's so
Ah, thank
unusual.
you. Really? I mean,
Oh, I'm
when you speak to Ash, is it different? Because
it's a little
she's
bit
from
different, but do your
okay.
parents speak Chinese?
Yeah, that's the only time I speak Chinese with my mom.
Because it's like you sound Australian, but every so often, because not that I'm some expert on the Chinese dialect, but I lived there for 4 months, so I may be a little
Yeah.
more attuned to the Chinese
Okay.
Chinese dialect than other people that haven't lived there. But it's like every once in a while I hear a little bit of Chinese accent, so it's like Australian with a tiny bit of Chinese.
Letting my Aussie bogan slide down there, and I gotta really put on the "G'day, mate," and get that grumble in the stomach going.
So, but I'm curious to hear your whole story because I really don't know your background, your history, how you became an artist, and I'll say before we get started with that, it's like because I've been watching your stuff for kind of a long time, and
Oh, thank you.
from my understanding, you start off more doing CG
Yeah, that's right.
more 3D stuff, and then you
Yeah,
started doing physical sculptures, which maybe you were doing at the time, I'm not sure. And
yeah.
then you've been doing a lot of like just killing it with the paintings too. Like
Oh,
you've been
thank you.
working. So I could see you've been like busting your ass, like
Oh,
teaching yourself to
yeah.
paint. And
Yeah, being obsessive.
yeah,
Yeah,
seeing you progress in such a short amount of time has really been kind of exciting and fun to watch. I really
awesome.
dig your stuff. It's great. So let's hear your story.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me your story.
So I was born in Taipei, Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm originally from there, and I was born there, and we immigrated to mom and dad immigrated to Australia when I was probably about 10 or 12. And
Hmm.
then before that, we had a year in Singapore where I learned to speak, we learned to speak English
Mm-hmm.
because Singapore is like a dual language
Right.
country.
Singapore's
Yeah,
supposed to be
so
really nice. So is
Singapore was
Taiwan. Taiwan's supposed to be really
Taiwan's
nice
nice,
too.
yeah. But I haven't been back for maybe 10 years. Like I've not had felt the need to go
Oh,
back
really?
because, going back also involves, seeing family and talking about, what you've been up to and everyone, it's a fairly traditional family. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone's got the traditional thing, having grandkids and kids and, job,
Yeah, and then
and all of
you're
that.
off
So
being a weirdo artist.
yeah. So it's like it gets really uncomfortable, for me anyway. I don't know if it's going to be like that, but yeah,
Right.
not quite ready to do that yet. So,
So
but
you're
yeah,
all,
we moved. So,
oh, so I'm go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, so we moved to Australia. Yeah, when I was 12, and I did my early primary school and then high school in Queensland on the Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I grew up mostly. And then, yeah, from grade 8 to 12, yeah, I was on the Gold Coast. And during that time, me and mum and dad separated.
Mm.
So yeah, that was quite traumatic. Actually, yeah, they separated um, probably a year or two after we moved to Australia. So I guess he couldn't hack it here.
Oh, wow.
And then mum decided to stay. So yeah, I was pretty much brought up by mum
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, single parent as you can probably relate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and yeah, so
When did
that
you get into the
was
dark art stuff? Monsters and all that.
not for ages. Yeah, like I had a relatively normal life before probably when I before 30.
Oh,
Like
really?
yeah, yeah. So my first job was delivering papers. I've had tons of jobs. Like art hasn't been my whole life.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of
So,
impressive. I would have thought you were like
yeah. So
an art kid in school and stuff.
no, no. I was yeah, my first job was delivering newspapers as a little kid.
uh,
That sucked. It really, really sucked in the rain,
oh
delivering
yeah,
newspapers.
on a
And you
bike.
had to wrap up.
riding
newspaper in those little plastic bags and shit.
riding a bike around and throwing them like the
Oh
classic.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But I thought, but that's probably, it was probably good to know at that point that making money is fucking hard, because
Yeah.
they paid so shit. Like, yeah, it was like terrible. But yeah, like I've had plenty of jobs. So after graduating from high school, I sold duty free to tourists for like 2, 3 years.
Oh, what happened to your screen?
Yeah, hold on.
Did your camera overheat or something? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's got an auto shut off thing, so I may need to stand up every like 20 minutes and just
You're gonna make it
like this
hard
is
for me
crazy.
editing.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need to
Yeah, I'll
edit
just
that.
leave it in. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
colorful.
But yeah, I sold duty free for like 2, 3 years to tourists because where I live, Gold Coast, is a really touristy town.
Okay.
So I think you can probably compare it to like Florida in the US. It's
Okay.
also very conservative as well.
Hmm.
So so growing up, yeah, there wasn't much of a art culture sort of thing. It was all very conservative.
What were you
So yeah,
into? What were you into as a kid? Like, what kind of stuff did you like before you got into art? Was it just like normal stuff, like sports and regular?
bodybuilding.
Really? When you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
When I was in high school, I got into bodybuilding, and that's
Oh, wow.
like fitness and lifting heavy shit has been in my life pretty much all the way through. And that's how that's my therapy,
Yeah,
100%.
that's cool.
I go to the gym probably every day, and so I'm getting older now. Like I don't go quite as crazy, but yeah, yeah, I've been lifting weights for quite a long time, and I wanted to be a nutrition as well,
Mm.
nutritionist
Hmm.
at that point too. So yeah. Anyway, that's all really boring.
Hey, my
So
dad, was, or my stepdad, who was a painter, was
yeah.
same thing. He was like bodybuilder as long as the whole time I knew him. That was like
Oh, really? I didn't know
oh
that.
yeah, I'll have to send you. There's like I got some pictures of him where he's just like flexing. He's got big ass
No shit,
muscles. Yeah, he
dude,
was
that's
every
awesome.
day.
Because I thought you said he was like more like hippie and
He kind of, yeah, he was
like
weird in that way. Yeah, he was kind of hippie-ish. He was into meditation. He was into Buddhism and stuff like that. But he also was a bodybuilder. Um,
okay, that's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He actually, it's funny you say therapy because he had uh, a nervous breakdown in the '60s. Like
Mm,
he was driving trucks. He was doing driving truck delivery, long haul trucking, and
yeah.
I think he got hooked on speed for
Mm,
staying up all night, and he totally
mm,
like flipped out and went crazy, and
mm.
they put him in an institution back because
Oh
this is
wow.
like in the early '60s, and they were like, he's never gonna get out. He's never gonna get
Yeah.
out. He just fried his brain. He's screwed up. That's what he told his parents, and he said the way that he got out is he started lifting weights because every time he
Yep.
started lifting weights, he started feeling better,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
he got out, and he had done like like a AA program, so he was totally clean, and he did that
Yep.
his whole life. He kept going to meetings and stuff, but every day, every single day of his life, he worked out. He got up
Yep.
early, meditated, and worked out every single day. Like
Man,
he
that's
was,
great.
yeah, it was like that's what he kind of needed to keep him keep himself sane and focused. But he credits weightlifting to that.
Yeah, 100%. I can relate that to 100,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, yeah,
I
definitely.
thought that was so
Because
cool.
I wasn't a good kid by any means. Like,
No,
being no, like you would think I would be being the Asian kid, right?
well, you
But
seem nice too. I mean, you don't seem like a
oh, nice. I'm nice now. I'm 40, 43, 44.
okay,
Yeah. But that's the art side. That's art changing my life, right?
right,
But
right.
yeah, before that, like I was completely the opposite to what people would expect a Asian kid to be, right? Like
Yeah,
there's this expectation, like Asians are smart, they're polite, they're clever, they don't do drugs, they don't, also all the bad things. Well, I did all of that.
Yeah, yeah. You were rebelling against that image.
Yeah, yeah, and because single parent as well, so mum was at work. So
Right,
what do I get up to when I'm by myself? And
right,
yeah, I got
right.
up to this shit.
Yeah, you didn't have the art to kind of like distract you from it either.
No, 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 not at all. So yeah, I put my mum through shit. She really copped it.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, and yeah, like so all that stuff happened before the art stuff. So really, I got into so in my late 20s, I was really into making money.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend who was really successful entrepreneur. So I sort of learning from him because I wanted to change my life around quite badly then because I
Mm-hmm.
was like spiraling down, you know, a,
Wow.
a, a yeah, a really dark place. So yeah, I started reading Napoleon Hill and listening to Anthony Robbins and
Mm-hmm.
all that because that was like really popular back then, right? In the
Yeah,
um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
I know of,
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Did
right,
you read
right,
that?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't read that one, but that guy's kind of turned into a kook now, but
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I haven't.
he's
Yeah.
gone like super red pilled, like super right wing.
Wow.
But
Holy shit.
The Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich, is that what the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that one is like a classic. I got that. I haven't read
Yeah.
it yet. Okay, so
Yes.
what were you like going to learn trading or something, or what kind of?
I did trading. Yep. I was day trading while doing my day job. And that I sort of failed in that. And that really sort of, taught me a lesson of not to spend too much money that you don't actually have.
Yeah.
I was trading probably, hundreds of thousands of dollars of trades per day in day trades.
Holy shit.
Yeah, day trading is where you can trade money that you don't own.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
only yeah, it's only after like a few days where they will ask for that money back. So you get a line of credit. That's that, and back then it was because the economy back then was pretty good, right?
Right.
So they would give you money. They will let you day trade up to hundreds of thousands of
Oh
dollars.
my God, that's
And
scary.
then after a few days, they'll be like, "All right, where's our money? You lost $10,000."
That's terrifying.
It was so stressful, yeah. But I did end up making a good decision of buying a unit.
Oh, so you did pretty well with it.
Not through trading, just through I had to get a loan out, and I bought myself a cheap, really run down, crappy unit. But the area was good, and then because reading through all that, and I was also into real estate and reading through real estate books and how to find bargains and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I bought a cheap place, and back then as well, like real estate was booming, so you could get a loan just like that. Like
Oh, wow.
they would
Yeah.
give you a loan as long as you had a stable full time job. You can get a loan for 300,000 quite easily,
Wow.
and
Okay.
and that's how much the unit cost. It was around 300,000, which is nothing. Like you can't get shit for 300,000
Right.
now.
Yeah, yeah. What year was this?
2005, maybe I
Oh,
think.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good times, for
The
sure.
before times. Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
things were. It was. I remember. I used to like carry credit card debt, and if they raised the rate on me, I would just like shift it to another
yeah,
car with a lower
yeah.
rate. Or sometimes I'd call them up and I'd be like, "Hey, I need you to lower my rate, or else I'm gonna transfer it onto another place." And they were like, "Okay, we'll lower your rate." It was like that. Was nothing, and
Yeah.
now it's like not like that anymore.
They'll put the debt collectors on you straight
Yeah.
away.
It's like, you can kind of negotiate and transfer balances and stuff. It's not as easy
Mm,
like it used to be, man. Let me tell you. Especially in
mm.
the 90s, it was really easy with
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
definitely. It was a big boom, and and yeah, so I got in there, like that was my big break that sort of set me up for the rest of the way, right? So I bought that place, and it was a shithole. Don't get me wrong here.
Yeah.
Like I was living in it, but I was like squatting and trying to renovate the place at the same time. So
Okay.
I renovated the place and painted the whole place, and replaced the floors and cupboards and all that. And yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty. But yeah, I sold it in after I think 2 or 3 years. So you had to own it for a certain time before you were allowed to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the government gave you money for like the first home owners grant,
Mm-hmm.
they call it.
Okay.
And it was like $20,000. They actually just gave you free money. So that was good,
Wow.
back then.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like you want a house, here's $20,000 to get a
Yeah.
loan. Sweet.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so I jumped in and yeah, I sold it for a profit, which a good profit too.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that sort of has kept me going when times have been tough throughout the years,
That's great.
and after that, um, yeah, I started working in visual effects. I wanted to learn 3D, so I think this is where more of the art thing
Yeah. This is
came
where it
in.
gets fun. How did you get into digital effects?
Avatar. I watched Avatar and Jurassic Park, and like, oh, I want to make that. It's freaking
Okay.
awesome. I make that
Okay.
on the computer. Um,
So what was your
so
first
yeah,
what was your first steps? Did you go to school or did you just kind of teach yourself?
so I did go to school. I went to a local community college
Mm-hmm.
called TAFE, and people in Australia will know what that is. And the course was okay. It didn't teach me what I needed to know, but the good side was that it was government funded, and I could receive student benefits, study benefits from the government while I was studying there.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so basically, I went there just so I could get the benefits and use their computers for rendering and equip motion capture studio.
Wow, that
And
must have been fun, man.
yeah, and I got money from the government to keep me going. So
Sounds
which was good.
awesome.
They don't do that now.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That sounds
Um,
amazing.
um, so I learned pretty much the skill I needed to at home by myself, and then go into classes when I need to and do assignments and stuff like that. But the rest of the class were just kids. Like I was the oldest one there. It's
Oh,
probably
okay.
about 25, 30, almost 30 by then. And
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the class was like 20-year-olds straight out of high school. So they didn't give a shit. So they
Right.
were just
Yeah.
around.
So,
um,
what what
yeah.
what what software were you learning?
Maya.
Oh, so you know Maya.
Yeah, yeah. So Maya's my first 3D
I
package, and I've
I
stuck with
I tried for 'cause, you probably know I started off in Lightwave, which is a
Lightwave. Yeah.
kind of a weird joke. It's kind of the butt of jokes nowadays, Lightwave. But
Wow, really?
but yeah, I tried. I remember, I learned Lightwave pretty well, and I remember it's like, oh, I got to learn Maya because at the time, especially back in the day, Maya could do all these things that Lightwave couldn't do. And I remember like opening it up and reading some tutorials, and it was just like totally over my head. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make do with Lightwave. I think
Yeah.
it's more logical. I think Maya is more logical, but I already learned the Lightwave way, which was not really
Yep.
logically set up. It was like more like I think they just kind of pieced it
ZBrush.
together and kept adding stuff to it, whereas Maya
Yeah.
was
Sounds
more,
like ZBrush.
yeah, like ZBrush.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I always wanted to learn Maya, but
Yeah. And like most studios still use Maya,
yeah, it's kind
like
of the
visual
standard.
effects studios.
Yeah. If you're
So that
serious,
was
you gotta learn Maya if you're serious about visual
exactly.
effects.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, the computer and rendering back then was pretty bad.
Hmm.
Probably not as bad as we were using it, but yeah, it was pretty slow. I think we were still using mental ray
Oh yeah.
for
Uh-huh.
rendering.
I remember
Took
that.
forever.
Do you remember that show, Babylon 5? Do you remember show?
Yeah, I do.
They
Yeah.
did. They used. I think it's the show. They used Lightwave for that. that was like one of the first big Lightwave projects for the space scenes.
Really?
I think so. I think it's Babylon 5. And the guy I learned from, this guy, Elliot Warman, he worked on Babylon 5. He's the one that first kind of taught me some stuff in Lightwave. And he used to tell me that when they would do test renders for like the spaceship scenes and stuff, that it would take an hour just to do a test render. So they would like to hit the render button and then go to lunch and then come back to look at it to see if it was even like right, like if the texture was right or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, sounds yeah, yeah, it's just gotten so fast, like with Unreal Engine now. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, I know. I want to learn that one, man. That seems
yeah,
like the most potential.
yeah,
Even, it's like I think that's cooler than AI. It's like the
yeah,
Unreal Engine is like
real-time stuff. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I would love to, collaborate with somebody, in the future to do like a virtual environment with
Yeah,
VR, with
totally.
art in it, like actual interactive art, not just like, pictures on the wall and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I want to do. Dystopia in VR. That's my dream. That'd be
Yes,
so
yes,
amazing.
sign me up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool. It's all
yeah.
designed. It just needs to be made. It's
I
like all the
know.
paintings are there. The book, the
They'll
rule,
be
but the rule book
perfect.
exists.
Characters are
You know.
perfect for that type of stuff.
So anyway,
Yeah.
so okay, so you taught yourself, and then how did you start working?
I did a traineeship. It was like a job placement with Rising Sun Pictures in Adelaide, which is another state.
Hmm.
And yeah, I did that for a year and lived in a shoebox with no air conditioning, and people in Adelaide would know how hot it gets in Adelaide.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
literally shoebox. And yeah, so that wasn't, yeah, so I had to tough that out. And with a landlord, the landlady would go through our trash and pick out stuff for recycling, and then she would take that recycling stuff to exchange it for money. She was like that picky for money. So it
Wow.
was yeah, crazy. But other than that, I did the traineeship, and people saw, people at there saw, I was like really into it, really enthusiastic, I had a
Hmm.
bit of talent. They offered me a job there, which is great.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
Before you get into
yeah,
that, real quick though, how did you take to it? Like when you first started learning computer stuff, did it feel natural and like you got it, or was it like because for me it was really not natural, and I really,
right,
really, really had to push myself. So
right.
how did you take to it when you first learned like the technology stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't hard at all because
Really?
I actually, yeah, I wanted to. Well, I worked as a IT person.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another one. I worked as a IT administrator, tech support person for like 2 3 years
Oh, that's good.
before that. So yeah, I was well into using software and debugging and all that. So
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
the
that's a good background for that.
whole troubleshooting, problem solving thing,
Yeah.
that wasn't. Yeah,
Even just understanding like the logic of how computers think and
yeah,
how things are routed. It's like, that's
yeah.
okay. So you got hired, then what?
Yep, got hired and worked on my first movie ever, Gods of Egypt with Gerald Butler. I don't know if you saw
I
that.
haven't seen that one.
It's so bad that it's like a cult classic now.
Oh wow, excellent. Those are great. I have plenty of those under my belt.
Yeah. And I was so excited though. I was like, I'm putting my whole heart and soul into the job.
What kind of
And
stuff
my first movie.
what kind of stuff did you make?
So it was set in Egypt, and we had to build like Egyptian environments, temples, and I got to sculpt like a crypt in underneath the pyramids
Oh,
for a
that
long
must have been
story.
so fun. That
Yeah.
must have been so fun. So you were doing 3D modeling, right?
Yes, that was my main thing as well. Well, I was more actually I was a generalist. Like I did also lighting as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually my job there was as a junior lighter, but then I kept bugging people to like, oh, let me do some modeling, let me do some modeling. That's what you have to do, man. You
Right.
have to, Like just keep talking to people in different departments if you want to, move on to different areas,
Yeah,
right?
and this was pre ZBrush, right?
No, no, this was already ZBrush.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you were using ZBrush for that stuff.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I forget.
Just when I was
Sorry, we got a slight delay, so I keep talking over you. I was just gonna say I forgot how old ZBrush is actually. It's pretty old
yeah,
now.
it's been around for a while. Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah, so I was doing lighting as well as a little bit of modeling, and yeah, modeling and sculpting is really where my heart is. But lighting was more in demand,
hmm.
and yeah, yeah, you get a job easier as a lighter
Oh,
than
interesting.
as a as a modeler. Because everybody wants to model, right? Sculpt and
Yeah,
model.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Nobody wants to do the boring shit.
How did you? How many people were on the crew?
Oh, it was hundreds. It was probably 200 people because the
Whoa.
Rising Sun Pictures in Adelaide was is like in a huge open area warehouse.
Wow. Okay.
It was just rows and rows and rows of desks and computers set up.
Wow.
It was like a factory.
Yeah, yeah. I never worked
Yeah,
in a CG production environment. Like
yeah,
I did digital effects for this movie called Altered, but it was just like me and this other guy that helped me. It was insane. It was like
yeah.
two guys in a room. But yeah, I never worked in a pipeline situation like that. But
Yeah, that's probably like one of the largest studios I worked at. And then after that, I moved back to Brisbane and started working for a much smaller studio with like 10 people at the most in the
okay,
department.
it's probably better like that, right?
The pay was much better.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But
yeah. The pay was much
isn't the smaller crew better though? Isn't it more like everyone?
it's it's, it's more work
Oh,
and
I guess
if
yeah on the big
other
on the
pick up
big
the slack, yeah,
on the big crew you just do your one thing and that's all you're
yeah.
responsible for. I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. When I moved to the smaller studio, I was doing more like CG supervising, asset lead. So I was preparing all the models for all the shows and stuff like that, and it much more responsibility and having to talk with producers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, less of the fun stuff happening.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, management not fun.
Yeah. And that's sort of where I got sick of, and then we're coming up soon to near the end. But that's where I got sick of the visual effects industry because yeah, like you don't get treated nicely.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just a pair of hands.
Hmm.
So, okay, and then,
And then the pandemic hit, and I lost my job.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, interesting. So, okay, you lost your job, and then what did you kind of?
So I was already sick of it, right? So when it happened, I was pretty relieved. I was like, yeah, sweet, I
Uh,
get to do my own thing. And during that time, we're already that's when I started doing 3D printing.
oh, right.
Mm. So I bought my first dodgy FDM 3D printer, with the filaments,
Mm-hmm.
for like ninety bucks from Aldi.
Wow. I still haven't opened that one that you
Oh,
told me
we'll get to
about.
that. Yeah, what's going on?
I still haven't even opened the box yet, man.
You have
But
to set it up because you'll be able to make money off that, man. Like
I
all your digital
know.
sculpts and stuff, you print it out and get just mold it,
I
right?
know, I know, I know. I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
I gotta do it.
Look, I'm more than happy to help you, set it up,
Yeah, I
and
appreciate that.
I'm sure we can barter as well with like if you want your actual models to be made print ready, doing supports and stuff like that. Now I can do that for you in trade for something.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I
And all you
appreciate it.
have to do is fill your resin printer up with resin and hit the print button.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of scared to do it. I guess because it's so. I'm afraid that if I, it's going to turn into something that's going to take months for me to figure out. But, but if I bug you about it, maybe you can help me. It won't be so hard.
It won't be. Yeah, you got to invest a little bit of time to engineer it, like
Right.
molding. Molding and casting is the same thing. So you know how you send your stuff off to be molded and cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could find somebody to do that for you.
Right. Right. Oh
You
yeah.
just
Yeah.
print. Yeah, and you just print it. So send them the ZBrush file, get them to make it print ready, and then you print it. They can be anywhere around the world, right? Because it's all digital files.
Right.
So they'll get it already. You just print it, clean it up, and send it off to get it molded, and that's all done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So tell me. So what happened once you got your what's the next step? You got your 3D
Yeah, my
printer.
3D printing. Yep, started 3D printing stuff, and started actually more following social media because I wasn't really big into social media
Mm-hmm.
until I started getting into arts and 3D printing because a lot of the groups online and stuff, they're all on Facebook, right?
Right.
And one of the first Facebook groups communities that I joined was the Shilford Brothers
Oh
Sculpting
yeah.
Forum on Facebook.
They're great.
Yeah, good place.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get to see a lot of good work there and ask people questions about how to do stuff and all that. Um, and then yeah, so the pandemic hit and I got my first resin printer, which was a large format resin printer, and that's when you can start printing stuff out like this, right?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a great piece.
Yeah, so this is the resin artist proof, but I actually made a bronze version of this one.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yep,
cool.
and that's sold. That was like one of a kind bronze.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that was like my first bronze sculpture,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah,
So
yeah,
at what point did you start like did you go, okay, I'm going to just do my own thing and do my own fine art? Is this after you got the printer and or were you doing that all along while you were working in visual effects too? Were you kind of like
yeah,
plotting your career out?
exactly. So
Okay. So
I actually
kind of like me in a way.
exactly.
Okay. Plotting your
Like
escape.
yeah, exactly. So every day I would go to my, unfulfilling job. I would be like, okay, I work one day here and it's 3 days that I get to do my own shit, you know,
Right.
in the future. So I was saving money, like saving a ton of money, not going out, not spending a ton of money, saving what I could. And I started pulling back from work. So I asked them to do like 3 days a week and
Hmm.
then 2 days a week. Um, they weren't happy about
Yeah.
it.
You must have had
They
some
weren't.
they must have liked you though if they did that for you.
Yeah, well, until they found somebody else to replace me, then they're like,
Right.
"Bye."
We don't like you that much.
Yeah, but it was fine. Like it was a job, and
Yeah.
I don't need to be loved by these people
Right, right, yeah.
because I was like we were doing a lot of commercials, TV commercials and stuff. It wasn't feature film wise, so
Okay.
yeah, the TV commercials they're boring as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Like speakers flying around and yeah, boring stuff. I had to like model a tree log, and this truck that they were trying to sell was pulling the tree log out, and they wanted so many fucking revisions on this tree log.
Oh my
I was
God.
insane. I was like,
And it wouldn't
whatever.
matter. It won't matter. It's like
No,
that's the thing. It drives
it
you
was like two
crazy.
seconds.
It's like
Seconds.
no one will notice. No one will notice any of these changes you want. It's not going to make the commercial better. It's
No.
like, but you have to keep doing it because they keep telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maddening.
And
Oh,
yeah.
there you go. Color bars again. Color bar break.
Don't edit it. Don't worry about it. Just leave it in. Give me
Yeah.
time for drinking.
Yeah. I'm just going to leave it in. Okay. So,
I was doing that, and I joined. I think it was around this time and this is around this time is where I found the Dark Art Society, and I found about you, Chet,
mm-hmm.
around this time.
Okay.
And I think from memory, it was in the Shiflett Brothers forum when they had that All Stars sculpting stream thing, and you did a bit in there. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Like 3 hours of sculpting
Yeah,
or
that
something.
was. I think that was where I found out about you and the Dark Art Society,
Oh, cool.
and also I was doing a thing there. So yeah, I think you were promoting the podcast, and I'm like, oh, I'll check this out. And, this guy's done some stuff, and then yeah, I found the podcast, and I've been a member ever since. It's been great.
Oh, cool. Well, I guess my promotion worked.
Yeah, you got to do it.
It worked for you at
If you
least.
didn't do it, if you didn't do it, I would never have found the Dark Art Society.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome,
yeah.
man. Yeah, that's so cool. So you're like showing at Bain Art Gallery now, and that's like a great gallery.
I'm
You're
pretty
doing pretty
pumped about
well.
that.
You're doing pretty well for yourself.
Well, I'm okay. I'm not definitely not there yet. And when you say the 10-year thing, um, when you say Copro told you that it's going to take you 10 years, yeah,
Uh,
I think pretty spot on.
yeah, yeah.
Because for me, it's been about 3-4 years, maybe almost close to 5.
hmm
But because I've been slowly transitioning through, but really I've been putting a lot more of my energy into selling art within the last 2 years,
hmm
3 years. Yeah, and it's a grind, man, and I can see definitely 10 years.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
that's going to scare a lot of people off, but I think it's true.
It's like that. I know. It's like, yeah, that's the reality. Some people go faster, and some people it takes longer too. It's like
Hmm.
every path is different. But yeah, he was telling me that based on Chris Marr's career is what he was like. I guess because Chris does dark stuff like we do, so he was
Yes.
kind of like. I
Yeah, I
think I
think
think
it.
I think he was kind of basing it off of what he saw with Chris Marr's career and how long it took him to kind of get going, and really take off. You
Yeah,
know,
people to take you more seriously, and I think like dark art in general as well is just it's
yeah,
less right. So yeah,
yeah. It's
pick the interesting topic.
yeah, yeah. It's a art being an artist is already difficult enough, and then when you're a dark artist, it's like another level of difficulty on top of it. However, the thing I always think about like regular artwork is like non-dark art that's more acceptable and mainstream. It seems like it would be harder to stand out in that world to me,
Mm, definitely.
and have your own identity. Whereas because dark art is more niche, it seems like a little easier to make a name for yourself and stand out if you're doing good work. But I don't know because I've never really tried being accepted in the mainstream world.
Well, just seems like the weirder it is, the I don't know, the more people want to buy it.
Yeah, right.
Like because like I watched a video walkthrough recently of the LA art show, the recent LA art show.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff there, man. It's like, okay, they're represented by galleries, so there must be people must want to be buying that stuff. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. There, I was surprised. I'm always the last few years I was surprised at the LA Art Show that there's there's quite a bit of weird stuff, even if it's not overtly dark, but still weird, almost enough to be kind of feel like it's related. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, I don't know. The art world is weird, but if you can find your audience and manage to make a living, then that's it. That's the game.
yeah,
That's
that's
winning.
what I want. Yeah.
So,
I don't really want to be famous or
yeah.
doing this interview with you is already, I consider myself famous already.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things you got to do to get your name out
Yeah, yeah, oh, for
there.
sure. If you want to make money, doing this stuff, then that's what I've learned anyway from listening to you and also all the other amazing artists that have been on your podcast. Is that that's so true. You got to put yourself out there either on social media or whatever.
Yeah, you got to take
Otherwise, you work. Yeah.
any opportunities you can get really to get yourself out there in front of people. Um,
Mm,
Gabe Leonard's whole thing that he always says is like take, at the he took his art and he put it on the boardwalk. He literally was started off doing color copies from Kinko's, from this cheap chain printing place, color copies, took them down to Venice Beach on the boardwalk and just laid them out and started selling them as like the
I don't know.
and that's the essence of it, is like you put it in front of
Yeah.
people. You got to get your art in front of people. And now with social media, especially if you're independent and not being represented by a gallery, you got to put yourself out there to sell the
Yeah.
work. And it's
Yeah.
just like, nobody wants to do it. We just want to make the shit. We don't want to
Mm,
talk about it. We don't want to, put our faces on camera and be influencers, but it's like it's a means to an end to sell the work so that we can paint or sculpt
yeah.
or whatever we want to do. It's like that's how much fun it is to do this for a living, is that we'll do all this other stuff we don't want to do that's painful,
Exactly.
totally painful, just to have the freedom to make cool monster stuff.
And I think it's good to, have that life experience before as well, like you and me have, looking,
Mm,
in jobs that, we don't particularly like or want to be there, but you know how to suck it up, and then there's the reward at the end of that, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely
um,
I value the time I had in the industry now that I'm out of it. It's like I really feel like I learned just all kinds of stuff. You know,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's wasted time either. Like I
yeah,
learned it, and as well as like life, just generally life in
right,
general, how to deal with, because you get to meet a lot of pretty egotistic people in the film industry.
yeah, definitely, definitely, and all types of different types of people too. And plus, when you're learning things on the job that are art related, like I know. I remember on the Blob, it was like an anatomy class. It was like the best anatomy
Oh,
class you could have, because it's like, okay, we got to make a bunch of melted dead bodies
oh
first,
yeah,
so it's like, let's get all of these weird, and this is in the 80s, so there was no internet. It's like, okay, we got to find these rare autopsy books about dead bodies. And
yeah.
there was like these kind of famous ones circling around the industry at the time. And
Okay,
yeah, and so uh it was just like you're looking at cadavers and you're looking at muscles and bone and how everything works, and it's yeah, you're making a bunch of gross stuff, but you're also learning anatomy probably better than you might learn in an anatomy class in art school, or at least as good as, you know.
and I think I don't know, like if you feel this is true, but I think maybe back then you guys had a lot more freedom to do more gory stuff, more realistic stuff, whereas now, um, in movies they got to get their PG rating and you can't go too hardcore and stuff. and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
maybe.
Or
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't worked in the
uh,
business for since like for like 10 years now, I think. Or no, longer.
yeah,
2009 was the last time I worked in a shop, I think, or 2010, something like that. So 14 years. So I don't even really know what the industry's like anymore, other than just talking
because
to
like
people
a
I
lot of
know.
the well, yeah, just seeing stuff on IG and people posting stuff that they've worked on, it seems like a lot tamer.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I see some pretty gross stuff on there. I've seen some pretty
But
cool.
but for actual movies, though, like for actual stuff that's
Yeah,
getting
right. Yeah, true,
yeah.
true, true. And they do a lot of that stuff CG now too. A lot of the gory stuff
Well,
they do with
that's the thing.
CG.
It's not it doesn't look real.
Yeah, yeah. I know those. It's like those CG bullet hits with the blood. It's like it just does not look as real. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, and the brain, like if you had a brain cut off and the brain was showing, like
Yeah,
you make that with real silicon that's translucent and all that
yeah,
juicy, you know, coating you put on it, you can't beat that.
yeah. No, you can't beat.
And I've worked in,
You can't beat the real fake thing.
yeah,
uh, but yeah, it was yeah. Looking back, it's funny because I was just talking to somebody about this. It's like, man, it was such a fun job. Now that I have some distance from it, really was
yeah.
fun making all this crazy stuff and getting paid well for it.
Well, in the golden days, I reckon
What's that?
you were working in the golden days of
Yeah,
makeup effects.
yeah. It's funny because it's like I started in the golden era, which is the '80s, and then it was just slight. It's just started going down, 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 down. But I mean,
But I think
even
the quality got better
oh
and
yeah,
better during your time though. Like
yeah,
a
for
lot of the
sure.
stuff in the early days, the quality wasn't that great,
Right,
But
right,
when I was watching the stuff that you guys were working on, it's like, oh, so good, so realistic.
right. Yeah, it was definitely I was there with a lot of technological changes. Like on the blob, we didn't use any silicone. I don't think we used hardly any silicone for the bodies. It's like now silicone is standard for any kind of realistic translucent um, body or
Are
something.
we using
We're
fiberglass?
urethane. We're using these urethanes, translucent urethanes. They're like soft urethane, and no paint would stick to them.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
nat, and they we ended up doing these really weird workarounds to get the paint to stick, and even then it would like rub off. It was totally a nightmare to work with. It's like everything is all settled now. Silicone works great. There's a way to
Yeah.
paint silicone that doesn't rub off, and it
And
looks amazing.
everything's safe.
What's that?
Everything's safe. You're not going to die from the
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah, yeah, we were using stuff like hot melt vinyl, which is totally toxic. I remember
Yeah.
one day in the shop that someone burned a thing of hot melt vinyl, and we had to evacuate the whole shop. The whole shop had to leave for like 2 hours or something because it filled with toxic smoke.
Yeah. And you're probably using like real toxic glues and solvents like
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
can
We were
stuff.
we were
Yeah.
using stuff that is banned now. Like I remember
Yeah.
we used to use this stuff called 111, which is I think it was trifluoroethane, and it was
Yeah.
really great for a brush cleaner, and you could use
Yeah.
it for like we painted on a latex where there was a seam, and you'd paint it on, and you use a Dremel with a
Melted.
and kind of burnish the seam off, and because it would melt the rubber a little bit. That stuff is like so toxic they banned it. We were using it. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about. I
And
don't want to think about it.
painters are worried about a little bit of
I
lead
know
and white.
exactly. I see people painting with
The
gloves, and
tiny
I'm
little
like,
blob of lead and white.
I see people painting with rubber gloves, and I'm like, ah, oh, come on, man.
Well, I'm painting with bubbles. I just don't want to get my hands dirty
Oh yeah,
because
no, no, no.
yeah,
I totally get it. Like, yeah, Gabe is a glove painter,
yeah.
and he's like, the way he paints, he cannot like I almost never get paint on my hands. I'm just like
Oh,
super
really?
careful. Yeah, it's rare. I mean, I got a little bit right right there from yesterday. But that was kind of rare because I'm like, as soon as I started, when I first started painting, I was super paranoid about like toxic colors. So I tried gloves, but I didn't like the feeling of them. So I was always really, really careful about getting paint on my hands. I checked them often. I've got these like shop wet towel things that I
Yeah.
always wiping my hands off.
Every time we start using those two.
Yeah. And so but Gabe, just the way he paints and how loose and how watery his paint, you know, he uses so much paint and making these big paintings. It's like I've seen his gloves that he paints, they're just covered. And it's
Does he
like
use liquid?
he yeah,
He
he
does?
was using liquid
Because he
uh
paints pretty thickly, right?
yeah, but lately he's been using no mediums except
Would take forever to dry.
yeah, that's what he's saying. He uses linseed oil if he needs to thin it out,
Mm.
just straight linseed oil, and he's saying yeah, it takes a long time to dry,
Mm.
especially the way as thick as he's painting. But yeah, for those big paintings using liquid, it's just like the fumes are crazy if you're doing really big things. So
Yeah, yeah,
um,
that's the thing with the 3D printing as well. It'll probably take you back to the old days of working in a shop, is that, after the resin itself, it stinks a little bit. It's kind of like liquid. It's got that acidy, alkali sort of smell to it.
mhm.
But the cleaning process, that's when, yeah, it can get a bit messy because, you know, you bought that big cleaner, right? Yeah, you got to fill that with denatured alcohol,
Oh
and yeah,
yeah,
that stuff can smell. And then when you're
yeah.
cleaning it, you take it out, and then after it's been washed, you spray it with the airbrush to spray out any remaining alcohol that's still on it,
Hmm.
and that's when you get the details to pop up. And
Oh
yeah, and you get alcohol like sprayed everywhere. So you got to have a clean, like, yeah, you need to find a clean space to do it.
yeah. That's the other reason, the other
Mm.
thing that's been holding me back from setting up, because I do have
Mm.
I have a room that's separate from the house, and
Right.
it is clean, or it could be clean if I cleaned it. Right now it's just like storage space, but it leaks. The roof leaks bad, and so that's the every time it rains, there's water on the floor and stuff, and it's like I have to get a new roof.
That should be okay if you buy a little tent, little gray tent for your printer, which also
Oh, that's a
keeps
good idea.
it also keeps the smell in as well when it's printing. So when it's printing and the UV resin is activating, that's when it starts to smell a lot more.
Hmm.
But if you buy a gray tent, and which is what I do, that keeps all that smell contained
Oh,
in
okay.
the tent, and that also covers it from dirt and rain and stuff like.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
You're slowly convincing me. You're
do
slowly
it. Just
convincing
set it
me.
up, and then once you run that first print, like I'll do a print set up for you on one of your sculptures. No worries.
Okay,
Just one
cool.
of your little busts. Yeah, yeah.
That'd be
And
awesome.
once you print it, you'll be like, oh, this is amazing.
I know.
Look at
I know what's gonna happen. As soon as I do it, I'm gonna be like, "Why did I wait so long?"
And it's not like you can't sell this stuff either. It's not like it's a hobby. Like it's 100% you're going to be able to make money from it.
Right,
Like
right.
people will be lining up to buy, to buy your stuff on that.
I know. I gotta do it.
And you
Even
make that's one thing as well I was going to say is for your custom frames, like
oh yeah,
like making ornaments for all that would be so easy to do in ZBrush for you.
yeah.
It's such a painful process.
I got to get back into ZBrush too, because I forgot it. It's like I learned it
Yeah.
and I forgot it, and so it's like it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a little bit of time. I know I can do it. It's just
Hit
like
me up, man. Like, hit me up. I'm
I will.
more than happy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I
No problems.
definitely
No problems.
will. Um,
Um,
yeah. Do you scan stuff?
I do. Yeah, I've got a little mini point, Revo Point mini scanner, and
Wow.
that's great for sculpting clay stuff. under 20 centimeters, like stuff like this, little markets.
Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah.
Anything bigger than this, then you need to get another model which scans bigger things, but doesn't have as much detail.
How hard is that to use the scanner?
Not hard at all. I set it up. I've got a little USB turntable, and then I set up the scanner on the tripod and just point the scanner on the turntable, and it just scans it.
I got to do it, man. I got to do it.
Yeah, they're pretty affordable now too. If you buy them from Kickstarter, you can get a small one for under $300
Oh, wow.
Australian. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We'll call this
Okay.
episode the episode the convince Chet about 3D printing and scanning
Get your
episode.
3D printer set up first, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Once you see that, once you start experiencing it, then you'll be like, oh, I can do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not hard to set up all those little things, the sprues and or you have to do the supports and all that. That seems so
Yeah, you
hard
do.
to me.
Yeah, you do. And that's part of your investment time into into the project.
It's not
But
super hard to do though.
I know it's not hard. It's just technical. Like it's just time. It just takes time to do it.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
yeah, it's not hard. And the software now as well, like they're getting smarter and smarter. So they have the auto supports function, which usually gets you 80% there.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah,
cool.
and then you just go through and then add any uh, manual ones that you need. But yeah, 80% will get you there with the auto supports. So
Cool. Okay. All right. You convinced me. You between you and I think it's Grant Cross. Do you know Grant Cross?
yes, oh yeah, amazing.
I see him doing stuff with you two, both of you guys doing stuff with 3D printing, and I'm like, I got to do this. I got to take the plunge.
Once you start using your printer, you'll be like, I want to print bigger stuff. And then
Yeah.
bigger printer.
I
But
and
that printer slot is pretty good for as a starter
Yeah,
package
yeah.
as
And it was so cheap. I
it
couldn't
was.
believe how cheap. I had to buy it. It was like 200
Yeah,
bucks or something. It was crazy.
yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah, it was a deal. I appreciate you telling me about that because I wouldn't have even known. But it's like I uh and then we'll stop talking about me, but I'm into that sort of stuff too, like technical. I like figuring technical things. Like I kind of liked figuring Lightwave out and learning 3D and stuff. So it's like I do have a technical mind in that way, so I know I could do it. I just have to, I just
100%.
yeah, I just have to like put the time aside. Okay, anyway. So, okay. Um so
So let's talk about Bernard Gallery.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, tell me
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. So apparently, how I got hooked up was it wasn't John that saw my stuff. It was one of his collectors that recommended me.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, he saw one of my sculptures on either Instagram or Facebook, and he said, "Oh, you should show this guy. He makes pretty good stuff." So yeah, like if I didn't put my work out there, he wouldn't have seen it.
Right.
And this collector, he's I think bought two of my pieces already.
So, how yeah, it's funny cuz once I saw that you were in a showing with them, I was like, why didn't I think that? It's like if I would have thought about it, I would have been like, "Oh, you should email them with your stuff because you're in
Yeah,
Australia. He likes that kind of stuff. John likes
yeah,
realism and like creepy, weird stuff. So it's kind of like a perfect gallery for you, really.
yeah. Like I thought my art wasn't quite ready for that yet, but
Yeah,
apparently it
no,
was, and somebody recommended it, and then that's how all that happened. So yeah, I think I've been part of group shows. There are three group shows,
hmm
and that's been about 6 months. So and they've been so
great.
great to work.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And like they pay straight away as well,
yeah.
which is like really, I was surprised.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's great. He's great to work with. Um,
yeah,
they treat people well, and yeah, they do pay on time, and
You do, yeah.
That's
Right. And
great.
they handle the shipping as well to the client if they buy it.
Yep.
So they take care of the wrapping and everything. So
Yeah,
because
that's
I send my stuff in a dodgy box, but it's wrapped really well, but
yeah.
it's an ugly ass box.
I'm
But I
telling
have to
I got a I did a show there and they sent me back some unsold pieces and they were packed so well. I've never
it's
it's like they have this special cardboard and it's stronger and thicker. I need to ask them where they got it. It's like
yeah.
the strongest cardboard I'd ever seen. It was amazing. The box they sent me. I was so like, this is incredible.
Yeah, so it's good to know that when a collector buys your work there, they're going to, you know, get
Yeah,
the
right.
stuff safe with
Yeah.
that.
I'm sure they have a lot of American collectors too, so they got to make sure that they back stuff, you know. It's
Because
packed.
that's always been like a huge worry for me. That's mainly why I transitioned to painting as well. Is like, you know, selling sculptures is not easy. Like
Yeah.
making sculptures is not easy in general. Like, but yeah,
They
shipping and
they take longer, they're harder to ship, and they're harder to sell.
yeah.
So you had the same realization I had when I started because that's how I
Well,
started, you know. I started
I wouldn't say I had the realization. I said I learned it from you.
okay. Yeah, I was like I was raring to go, man. I'm going to be a sculptor. And then I did
Yeah.
that first one and I was like, "Oh my god, maybe I'm not going to be a sculptor." As much as I enjoyed it, it was just like there's no way. It took me 10 years to
Yeah,
to sell the thing. And then
you have to,
Guillermo bought it
and you
after
have to,
hmm?
and you have to put so much time and money as well
Yep.
into it. Because like if you want to casting stuff in bronze, then that's a whole other investment you need to put in before you sell the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like a painting, even if you do a giant painting and you get a pre-made amazing canvas or panel or something, it's going to run you, I don't know, a couple $100 if you get a big
Yeah,
giant
200.
one with linen or something. But when you're doing a sculpture, you do something that's like a bust size, just the silicone alone is going to cost you like $700 or $800 or
Yeah.
something. And it's going to take so much time. And then the resin costs a lot of money. It's like $100 a gallon, you know, it's so just to produce a piece, it's expensive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so and I think that's the 3D printing where that comes in. It does save a bit more, you know, up of that upfront investment because you don't because I'm only selling my sculptures in editions of three, so I will just print them out and I won't mold and cast
Yeah,
in
that's kind of
resin.
amazing.
Yeah, and 3D resins now, 3D printing resins are strong as fuck. Like
Yeah, I
they'll
know.
be,
It's crazy.
yeah, they're as strong as normal urethane resins. The
Yeah.
only issue is that they're hollow. You have to print hollow, so
Mm-hmm.
they have a thickness usually about 2 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's hollow, it's a bit more fragile.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so what I do, I end up backfilling the inside of it with polyfoam.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and that makes it, you know, still pretty lightweight. And sometimes I would actually put like pebbles, like rocks, in there just to give it a bit more weight.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you know,
That's a
doesn't
good
feel too hefty.
that's a
Yeah,
good idea. Yeah, you could I know that I've done stuff where I did brush in resin and then
yeah,
I backfilled rigid foam and then
yeah,
I left a gap at the top. I didn't fill it all the way with foam and then I poured urethane resin to top it
yeah.
off so that the top is the bottom of it when you pull it out and turn it over
Yeah.
and then like all the weight's on the bottom from the urethane,
Bottom, yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. That's what the same. You can do the same thing with the 3D prints as well,
Yeah.
if you want to sell them as one of a kind or, you know, very limited edition.
Yeah, I never, it's so funny because I never, when I saw, because I was, you know, I 3D printed stuff through a company back in, when was it? 90, in the, in the early days, like the late 90s, I think, maybe, or
Would
early
be nice.
2000s for the Tool videos. We 3D printed
Mhm.
these puppets and then molded them. I modeled them in Lightwave
Oh, awesome.
for the what's the name of the video?
Excuse me.
No, it was the one after that. Parabola.
Okay.
Here, I'll show you the. I got one of the models. Hold on, I'll show you.
Yeah, cool. Ah, this isn't as bad as I thought.
Okay. Oop.
Oh, this guy. So cool.
All right. Oh shit. Do you recognize this little guy?
Yeah, I do.
That's the main character from the Parabola video,
And
and
that's the 3D printed version
yeah,
for the
it's
cast.
3D printed, but back then, no. This is the. Let me see. What happened is we 3D printed, and everything had ridges back then. They couldn't even do it super smooth. So then we had to sand. No, so we took that first print, molded it, cast it in resin, sanded that, molded it again,
Yeah,
and molded it again, sanded that. So we like did a few different versions, or because he wanted it like smooth and like
yeah,
this spiral.
yeah,
The spiral he wanted to be really kind of perfect and accurate.
yeah.
So yeah, it was insane. And then we cast him in silicone.
Cool.
Hold on. Let me put it back up. I don't want to get messed up.
That's a collector's item, that one.
More editing. More editing. I'm going to be busy
No.
editing on this episode. Um, that's all right. But so that was 3D printed,
Yeah.
and I don't know when that video was out. I think it was early 2000s or late 90s. I don't remember, but oh, I know what I was going to say. So I never thought that 3D prints would be something you could print and sell.
Yeah,
It just seemed impossible seeing
yeah.
that the way, because it was like, I remember it was almost like waxy. It was kind of like wax
Oh, okay.
almost. It was
Yeah.
like, it was like grayish wax kind of stuff.
I
And
think I know the stuff you're talking about. It's CEX or something
yeah,
filament.
yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. It was like, and then the other one I did was on Hellboy 2, which was, I don't know what year that was, early 2000s,
Yeah.
2005 or something, maybe. I don't know, but for the cathedral head,
Yeah.
the for the cathedral part, I sculpted that in Lightwave, and then we had it printed, and it was a resin print,
Yeah.
and it was kind of translucent material, so we got it back, and we are like, oh, this is amazing, and it was kind of in a few pieces. There was like some cathedral tops that we had to glue on, but the main piece was like the top headpiece, and
Yeah.
and it started bending over time. Like
Lagging. Oh, really?
yeah, so it was like super touchy and problematic. It's like
All
so
right.
it was like I think I put it on the head form or something when we left it there for a while, and it was starting to get misshapen. So it was fraught with problems back in the
Yeah.
day. So I never imagined a day when you'd be able to just like print a sculpture out and sell them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That's
amazing,
and I think there's still that stigma attached to it
right?
because it took so long for that technology to get to, the current level.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, resins now can be rated for like 200 degrees temperature. Like
Wow.
they use it for there's specialized resins that you can buy. They use it for heat molding. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember
Yeah, yeah.
vulcanizing,
Mm-hmm.
vulcanized rubber thing. Yeah, so that can withstand that type of temperature. So yeah.
That's so cool. I love
Now,
it, man.
obviously, if you got thin parts, yeah, obviously, if you still got thin parts, and you don't have that metal armature inside, it's still gonna break because it's still plastic. But
Right, right.
it's a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
definitely.
Amazing. Super cool. And
Um,
even you can
yeah,
do like coloring, right? Like that I've seen
no.
stuff where they color printed like
Oh, you can. solid. It can be one solid color. Like you can add alcohol inks to your resin to make it one solid color,
Yeah.
but it can't actually print color.
I
Like it's
thought
not.
didn't I thought I saw something on something from that company in Portland that does those animated the stop motion animations like Coraline.
Yeah,
So,
those printers are expensive. Right? It's
okay.
not gonna
Yeah, I'm not saying for me, but I know a guy
print
that
metal.
I know a guy that works there, and I think they were kind of like printing the paint jobs too. I
Yeah,
think.
that save a ton of time.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. So tell me about
Yeah,
your transitioning into painting.
yeah, man.
When
Yeah,
when did
I've
you
been
start?
talking about the 3D printing.
I
It's
know.
like, how long have we been going for? It feels like quite a while.
Well, it's you know me. I like talking about that tech stuff.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, me too. But yeah, painting seriously. So for the last, I would say the last 1.5 year or 1 year. Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
really?
Before that, yeah, before that, I hadn't touched the paintbrush. Like I was scared of the paintbrush. Like
Well,
really scared of it.
that's
Um,
pretty impressive. That's a
thank
come
you.
long way in a year.
But I've been pretty obsessed with it. Like, yeah, like I definitely have OCD, and when I set my mind to doing something, I'll just commit to it. And it's good and bad. Probably not great for relationships and stuff like that too.
Yeah, definitely.
But art has paid off. Like painting has paid off, so it's been good. Yeah.
Man, I can't believe you've only been painting a year. That's crazy.
Yeah, a year and a half
Year and
going on.
okay, year and a half. Never mind. That's not impressive. Yeah, that's crazy. A year and a half. That's like I don't know. You either had a latent talent that you didn't realize you had for painting, or you just have been grinding and busting your ass over
Yeah,
maybe
I think maybe a bit of
maybe a
both.
little of both.
Yeah, because what I will say is, my mom is an artist as well.
Oh, right. That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, she became an artist after her retirement, and
Hmm.
then yeah, a lot of she does most used to do pastels,
Hmm.
and now she does gel prints,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah. That looks fun.
yeah. So I think that's where maybe I got that from.
You didn't have
I don't know.
you don't do you have other artists going back at all in your family?
Yes, my great uncle, who's passed away now. He was a really good traditional Chinese artist with calligraphy and using the calligraphy brush.
Hmm.
So he was quite famous,
Oh,
but
wow.
nobody else. Yeah. So yeah, I think maybe that's where I got that the art gene from.
Yeah.
My dad definitely wasn't into the arts. Yeah. Um, but yeah, painting's been freaking amazing. I'm so addicted to it.
It's fun, right? Isn't it fun once
It
you
is. It's very much fun. When you get to a point where everything's like starts coming together, it's like, oh, this is making sense. When it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's frustrating. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like there's a point in painting with I hit it with this painting last night. I did this painting, this Donnie Darko painting last night, and it was
in
like,
one night.
yeah, just a couple hours. It's just like a quick little study.
Yeah, man.
But it's like I just wasn't getting it. I got the figure because I had a photo reference and
Yeah,
the background was very neutral and it was like something was not clicking. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this kind of weird green in the background. And then I started using the green, and then the paint started kind of setting up. You know, the paint as you go, it gets
yes,
like it starts to get a little bit less greasy.
yeah, yeah,
And I was like, oh, this is perfect. It like got to that perfect point, and then I was just able to like do all these cool like strokes and stuff, and it just like clicked. It all came together like right at the last minute. It's so
Yeah,
I just love it when the paint gets to that point, you know, because when you're first starting off, it's still kind of too loose. It's frustrating, and yeah, so
yeah. It's so like I find it so interesting that like which I didn't know before until I started painting is that paint has so many different properties and at each point of the life of a painting you can do different stuff to it that
right,
you can't do within like other times. So it's been really interesting. It's like sculpting with a different clay, for example.
right. Yeah, it's almost like the equivalent for a sculpture would be if the clay kept changing consistencies as you went.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Um,
And you can do all sorts of like cool stuff with your actual brush as well. Like before I started, I thought painting was just brushing one
right.
brush stroke. But you can twist your brush, you can use different brushes and
Oh
make all
yeah.
types of different marks and stuff. And I think that's where, for me anyway, that's where the interesting part of painting is. It's not it's not really about representing something. It's about the brushwork. Like I
Mm-hmm.
find that really, yeah,
Yeah, it's like the the expressive quality. The you're expressing something is the important part. It's not about
mm,
like making it look exactly like your reference or making it look perfect. It's about having your own personality in the piece and your own
yeah, totally.
expression in the piece, you know? Because your stuff is like, I love how your stuff is very, you've got cool textures. It seems like you play a lot with textures and,
Love it. I love it.
you know,
Yeah, and because I have a quite a anxiety personality,
mhm.
so 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 this type of brushwork suits me because yeah, I'm just there just stabbing away at the painting, and something comes out at the end of it.
So how did you teach yourself to paint?
YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? There's so many
Yeah, it's so
amazing.
good.
Who is your? Do you have like any favorite people you could recommend to people listening?
Um, Not really.
No,
Um,
you just.
like I know that I subscribe to your tutorial level Patreon
Oh right, yeah.
for some time, and that really helped.
Oh cool.
And then just generally as well. And I think what I want to achieve more is not really popular, like with the more rougher brush strokes. It's like people on YouTube, the tutorials are usually really refined works, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and everything and
Right,
or portraits, like paint perfect portraits or skin tones and stuff like
right,
that.
right,
I mean, it's great, but it's not my jazz. So
right.
I think one like this particular video, it's not a tutorial, but it's like a documentary series, and it's Paul Keating on painters, and it's probably filmed in the 60s or 70s. It's really old.
Oh cool.
But this guy does like short 30-minute demos on how to achieve the style of the master painters. So
No way. Okay,
he
what's it
does
called? I gotta look this up. Paul Keating.
let me yeah, Paul Keating on painters.
Paul Keating on painters on YouTube. Okay.
And they're really old videos, but they're so good. Like, and he captures it. Like he did one on Rubens, he did one on Turner, and
Oh wow.
yeah, like all the style that you don't usually see on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
cool.
it's so that sort of like gave me gave me permission to just go crazy
Mm-hmm.
on the canvas and
Yeah.
like don't start off with gotta get everything perfect.
Right, right. Yeah, I got that. That sounds like the big book for me was How to Paint Like the Old Masters, and it's like every
Mm,
chapter is kind of a demo of how each different old master painted, and that was
yeah,
that was a great I learned a lot from that book. So it
I
sounds like
think I
the
got that on PDF. Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah. It sounds like that's like the video version of that. That's cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
check it out. Um,
And for me, definitely my inspiration comes from uh the old masters for sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like Goya, Rubens
yeah,
already mentioned.
yeah.
It's just the way they handle paint, Velasquez as well. It's
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
and it's funny that I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's funny that when you look at their early paintings compared to their late paintings, they so much more different. And yeah, I feel like I connect with their older works a lot more than their the earlier works.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's
Like
interesting. I never
yeah,
thought
like
about that.
Goya, the Spanish painter Goya, he used to paint for like the king and queen.
Oh,
He would do
yeah,
like pretty ugly,
yeah,
like
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
boring paintings, right? And then he saw some shit, right? He went like the Spanish War happened, and he
yeah,
like he saw some shit, and he started doing these crazy engravings of the disasters of the war, and then he I don't know if he was smoking stuff, and he was like doing all these dream engravings with witches as well,
yeah.
and
That's right.
you know, it's like
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of the OG dark artist in a way.
yeah, one of my favorite.
Maybe Hieronymus Bosch, maybe too. He
Gosh,
might be the
yeah.
original with the hell vision, the Garden of Earthly Delights, the Hell Realm. That was kind of probably the first famous dark art painting. That segment of it, maybe.
Have you seen that painting by Bosch of the crucifixion where it's like just heads, flat heads on a big square canvas,
I don't think
and
so.
then yeah, this like the faces he painted were just so grotesque.
Oh,
It was
cool.
like so dark art, so modern.
It's
Like,
always been
because
there. It's always been
yeah,
there.
because Christ is carrying the cross, and then these guys are like yelling at him or whatever.
Oh
Their
yeah,
faces.
yeah, yeah. I think I have seen that one. Yeah, that's great.
And there's this guy with the pointy hat that's got a rainbow on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so cool. I love
Yeah,
it.
so trippy. Um,
What's the I mean, how do you approach making paintings? What's your process? Are you like a planner and a sketcher, or do you just kind of go at it and develop things, or how do you do
so
it?
yeah, so I well, it depends, but I do plan some of my works if they're more figurative, if they got figure stuff in it. I do my sketching in ZBrush.
Oh, that's great. So you've
Yeah,
got your
yeah,
reference kind of as a 3D
yeah.
model.
3D model and lighting's all done, and that's if I'm doing something a bit more representative and needs to have right forms and right lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but lately, I've been doing more. I've been enjoying painting more landscapes, so incorporating figures, my figures in landscapes, and that's been just looking at old master paintings, and they handle clouds and atmosphere so well. So
Yeah.
it's just finding something that I like and sort of trying to copy that how they did it. And I think it's okay because it's like clouds and landscape and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not really copying like a subject or anything like that. So yeah,
Every artist does that, I think. I think every artist, especially from the old masters, it's like
yeah,
that's if you're copying from the old masters, then you're doing it right because they did it. They knew what they were doing.
they do, and they've got that eye. And I think that's the problem with AI stuff as well. Is young artists they haven't developed that eye. They don't have the knowledge. They haven't looked at the really good stuff.
All
So
right.
all they see is they press the first the first thing they see, they get on with AI, they're like, oh, this is great. But
Right.
yeah,
But
people with an eye see it and they go, oh, this is that's all wrong. The lighting doesn't work.
yeah, well, you even see that with like I've noticed. Now you're seeing it on YouTube thumbnails all the time, and even in like some newspaper or not newspaper, online news stories, sometimes they'll have AI images, and it's like you see the mistakes. You'll see the extra finger, or the buttons are weird on the shirt, and it's like, because people, if you don't have an eye, you don't even know what to look for.
Yeah.
If you
And
don't have a developed eye, you don't even know. When your eye is developed, things like that pop out to you instantly.
yeah.
But if you don't, like, the average person is not developed their eye by looking at things every day and studying them. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Color bars back.
I think the audio is still going though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Oh, now we got the subject is too dark. It adds a little extra flavor to the episode.
Yeah.
It makes it stand out. It makes it special. Do you do, like, when you start? Do you do any underpaintings or sketches or anything?
Yes, I mostly I will do my underpainting with acrylic.
Oh, okay. What
Yeah,
colors do you
and
do? You do it like in different colors, or like just a monochrome?
uh, bits and bobs. It depends on what I'm painting. Yeah,
Okay.
like I've got tons of acrylic colors that we use as well. But acrylic is so good for blocking out, and
Mm-hmm.
since I haven't been painting that long, I need that ability to be able to iterate faster. Um, Whereas, yeah, when I paint just straight in oils, I get pretty it gets can get pretty frustrating
Yeah.
if I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, I lay down my and if I'm doing backgrounds with atmosphere and clouds as well, I'll do all of that with acrylics, and
Mm-hmm.
then the main subject and the main figures I will use oils, or sometimes I'll just use acrylics.
Oh, really? You do?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know.
yes,
I thought you did mostly.
yeah. So these Four Horsemen
Yeah, those are
paintings that I've been recently posting, they're all acrylic.
that's great,
Um,
man. It looks like oil the way you're
it
handling
dries
it.
so quick.
What's that?
It dries so quick.
I know, I know. But that's the thing, though. It's like I trained myself to
Yeah.
work with the slow drying time. So now it's like they dry too fast, and I have trouble.
Oh, really?
I have trouble with the paint drying on my palette and just being able to
Yeah,
control it.
yeah. Well,
But
yeah. When I use my acrylic, I have like a water, like a wet sheet underneath my
okay,
palette that keeps the paint
yeah,
wet, so it doesn't dry so
yeah.
fast.
My dad used to do that. He used to have a
Yeah,
wet towel, and then he would
yeah,
because he would do acrylic underpaintings for a lot of his illustration work and stuff. It's a great way to
yeah.
work. It's smart.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's good for newbies as well. Like I think oil is a tough medium to master.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you've only been painting a year and a half, so come on. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
after,
It's a beast. It's a beast.
yeah, yeah.
With acrylic, what you see is what you get, all right? But with oils, there's all sorts of different ways that you can mix the colors on the canvas, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
It's easy to turn it. It's easier to turn it into mud, like just blah,
oh
everything
yeah,
mixed together. If you don't know what you're doing. Well, that's
yeah,
interesting. That's cool. What
yeah.
about?
So yep, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
If I can just like say like one tip that if you guys want to hear it is I haven't been painting that long, but yeah, one tip when working with acrylics is, especially if you're doing underpaintings before putting on the oils, is you can use gesso as your medium.
Ah, it
Yeah, and
doesn't.
so
And
you can get white gesso or you can get clear gesso as well.
okay,
Um,
interesting.
Use that as your medium, and that will just guarantee that the oil paint will stick on top of it.
Ah, that is a good tip. I didn't know that. I never thought
Yeah,
about that. That's a good
yeah,
idea.
because the gesso has the more rougher pigments in it.
Right.
So yeah, when you lay that oil on top, it's going to stick
So
a lot better.
so white gesso you can kind of use as your white,
Yes, or you can mix it with
or
other, and that's why when I paint, when I do my underpainting, it's generally like one stop lighter than it needs to be,
okay.
and then when the oil goes on, it's everything sort of just gets darkened down at the stop, basically.
That's awesome. Well, that's a good tip. I'm gonna take that tip.
Yeah, and you can use clear gesso as well. You
Yeah.
can so which is just like matte medium
Yeah,
basically.
right. Yeah, yeah. Hold on one second. I got this dog scratching at the door. Hold on.
It's been eventful.
Sorry about that. I got my come here.
How your dog's doing?
Well, we got visitor dogs. We got
Who's
my
this?
this is Betty the Yeti. This is my
Hey, oh my God.
one of my kids' dogs.
Is that
She's
your granddaughter's dog?
it's my kids got a few dogs, and so the grandkids are over and they bring the dogs over with them.
So cute with the
I,
little
I
jumper
know,
on.
I know. She's really cute, but she was scratching
Oh
at my
yeah.
door, driving me nuts. One last thing I was going to ask you is, do you do a lot of drawing? Since you've kind of gone
No.
from sculpture to painting,
Mm,
do you like sketch
mm.
and stuff?
I don't, and that's definitely one area that I want to work on. I've never
Interesting.
been really good at drawing I've I've because I came from sculpting, so I think more forms rather
Hmm.
than lines and shade, uh, which has let me down, but I'm working on it.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
amazing. That's pretty amazing that
cool.
you're painting without sketching and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I sketch in ZBrush, which is pretty good.
Right?
You
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah. I mean
get
more
your
like
light.
traditional sketching, but you're kind of like I don't know. The way you paint is pretty sketchy too. It's kind of like you're
Yeah,
drawing in paint. Um,
yeah.
so I'm sure I'm sure you'll pick up if you start sketching more.
Yeah, definitely want to improve my drawing skills for sure.
Well, cool. Well,
Mm.
that was I really appreciate you taking the time. It was really fun to
Thank
talk
you,
to you,
Chet.
learn about your history and stuff.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah, see, you forget after 5 minutes, right? That's everybody says that. You
Yeah,
forget it's recording after
yeah.
5 minutes. Um, okay, so you know what you have to do though. We have to say the goodbye, and then
Oh, are we doing goodbyes now?
yes.
Can I do some quick shout outs?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So Chet's gonna see the marketing now. So Chet's gonna add my links
Yes.
to the YouTube video, and there'll be my social media and my shop. Go check out my shop if you want to buy prints and original paintings. I would really appreciate it. I've got a few new works. So what you see behind me here, they're all new. They're not in the shops yet, so you guys are actually seeing it first, unless
Cool.
you're on Patreon.
Oh, you got a Patreon. That's right.
Yeah, which you are actually a member of, Chet.
Yes, I know. I never. I'm a member of a lot of Patreons. I never check them, but I see them come up, and I see your name come up on the app. But it's like I'm there to.
Yeah,
I'm doing it just to support my people.
no,
You know.
I know, and I appreciate it.
I
And
look.
I think
I see
like
once in a
eighty
while.
percent. I think 80% of my Patreons, which I don't have many at this stage, are just supporting me.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if you want to see the newest stuff that I'm working on, check out Patreon. I also want to give a shout out to the Hellfire Sculpting Club, which is a club, digital sculpting club that me and Frank started. And shout out to you, Frank. Uh, he's another great artist in France, good friend of mine, and you would have seen his work. He does these awesome Cenobites
Oh
from
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Laser.
yeah. I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He's great.
yeah. You might have to try and persuade him to get on the podcast, but
Yeah, he'd
um,
be good.
he doesn't like he says he doesn't speak English, but he speaks English fine. But yes, the Hellfire Sculpting Club, we are releasing 20 new sculptures next month, one per day, starting
Wow.
next month, this month. And each the topic is folklore. So each artist got to choose a folklore from their country, and then sculpt it, and it's just a little bus,
That's
which will be
cool.
made 3D printable as well.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, so the website for that is hellfiresculpting.club, or we are all also on socials. So I'll put in a plug-in for that because that maybe by tomorrow, the first sculpture should be up, and definitely go check that out if you'd like, weird creatures and folklore stuff. And yeah,
Excellent.
it's been a fun group to be a part of too. So that's something that me and Frank sort of started last year, and then we are doing sort of one show per year type of deal, just for fun.
That's super cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'll put all the links. That's the other thing I got to get from you after we get off is all your links. If you could email me
yeah.
those.
They
Um,
should be in that folder that I sent you.
oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, it was great,
And
man.
thank you so
Great
much.
talking to.
Thank you so
Y-
much, Chet, for having me on the podcast. I've listened to pretty much all your episodes, and it's been great. Like, yeah, you don't know how
Uh,
much I enjoy it.
that's
So
great.
it's really good to be. It's surreal to be actually on it, and then I don't know if I'm going to want to hear myself on an episode, but yeah, hopefully you guys liked it, and
Oh yeah, everybody's gonna love it. Yeah, I don't listen like I'm there during the live on YouTube during the live, um,
but you don't listen.
but I have the sound down and I put the captions up because I don't want to hear my voice. So,
That's gold.
so I feel you there. I don't, when I edit,
Gold.
it's like I'm kind of used to it now, but I still don't really care to hear my voice. Um, all right. Well, the last thing, I appreciate you coming on. Love your work. I appreciate all the stuff you do for the community as well with your, those tutorials you're posting and your stuff in the Dark Art Society cooperative group and everything. So, thank you for coming on. And now you just have to say goodbye in your own special way.
No worries. Goodbye, everybody. Make sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the SoundCloud podcast, make sure to like and share that. And join the Patreon as well of the Dark Art Society. You can come and hang out with cool people.
Thank you so much. That's great. All
Thank
right.
you.
Goodbye,
See you, chat.
everybody. Thanks for listening.